15th, 2020. We will ask Rachel to note roll call. And Jay, why don't you lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Welcome, Keith. I don't have any announcements. Do you, Alex? Okay. Then we will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of January 9th, 2025.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Are there any comments, edits, or questions? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We don't have any appearances that I know of. So we will continue to item 7, new business. Resolution 2025-502, amending an option to purchase for 424th North Main Street. Alex.
This is a pretty straightforward one. The seller of DeForest Liquor wanted to set a closing date of May 16th. The original closing date had it closing within 120 days of when we exercised, which would have put that to like April 2nd, something like that. I see no issue with this. It gives them a little bit of extra time to get some of their equipment and other things out of the facility. And really, we're not going to be doing any activity on that site before that date anyway.
Move to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
A second.
We have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 7.2, Resolution 2025-503, approving a relocation plan for 109 West North Street and authorizing the executive director to submit all necessary documents to the Wisconsin Department of Administration for review.
Move to approve.
A motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Do we have any questions? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Item 7.3, Resolution 2025-504, authorizing the chairperson to execute a memorandum of understanding with the Village of DeForest regarding a Part 58 environmental review. Alex, do you want to give us 1 minute on that?
Sure. So the Part 58 environmental review is a requirement for any specific projects that are going to be potentially be using federal funds. Well, for our new building, while we don't necessarily have a commitment of federal funds at the moment, it's highly likely that we probably will have federal funds coming into this project. So we need to have an environmental review completed for that to happen. The MOU that was in your packets is between the Village of DeForest and the CDA. As the local unit of government, HUD says that the local unit of government can be what's called the responsible entity that performs the environmental review and ends up sending that over to HUD, the Milwaukee Field Office of HUD, for eventual approval. So this MOU basically is an agreement between the CDA and the village saying the village is willing to do that. The village approved this at its meeting, whenever that was, maybe last week. I have completed the environmental review itself, and it does have what's called a finding of no significant impact, which they, probably my favorite acronym, I guess, so far of all the crazy ones that they have is called a FONSI. So that.
Send it to Milwaukee.
Yeah, and that will have to, yeah, exactly. That's perfect. This would just be the second part of completing the MOU, and then the village will be reviewing the actual assessment next week at their meeting as well.
Move to approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
A second.
We have a motion and a second by Renee. If there's no other questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, item 7.4, Resolution 2025-505, authorizing the chairperson to execute an amendment to intergovernmental cost-sharing agreement with the Village of DeForest.
Move to approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. Do you want to say anything?
Sure. So this is just an agreement between the village and the CDA for shared staff. Most of the stuff in here is just cleanup to better reflect the way that we actually do things, as well as changes in staff roles. So it's, again, pretty straightforward. The village will be reviewing this at one of its March meetings. I don't know. We've got a few packed agendas, so we pushed it out a little bit.
Okay. If there's no other questions or comments, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 7.5, Resolution 2025-506, authorizing the chairperson and executive director to execute an amendment to a memorandum of understanding with the Wisconsin Housing and Economic Development Authority regarding an agreement to enter into a housing assistance payment contract.
So this was an agreement that we entered into, an MOU that we entered into with WIDA back in 2023, which has since expired. This is related to the project-based vouchers. Well, the MOU itself was actually related to a number of things. First and foremost, the tenant protection vouchers, which we've already sort of crossed that threshold, so they've completed their obligations associated with that. Now we're looking to, this is an agreement to enter into an agreement to enter into an agreement. So this is an MOU that would be essentially saying, hey, we're still going to be working towards getting project-based vouchers into the new building. And so the term of this would extend it out to December 31st of 2026. And I know that seems like a long time, but we would hope to not take all that time and have this wrapped up this year. But there's a lot of, HUD is undergoing, they're just in a little bit of turmoil right now, and things are just taking a lot longer. So it's a backstop.
Move to approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a, excuse me, second. If there's no other questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. There is no old business. We're just moving along here tonight. We'll move to reports and we'll take the housing division. Jefferson Square financial update. Who's taking this one?
Carol's.
Okay, so these are December numbers, but they are not final, so keep that in mind. These will probably change. At first glance, I can say that it appears as though we came in really close to what we budgeted. It seems as though everything's running, right on track. So no concerns at this point, but like I said,
Good.
Year end, we always have things that we have to kind of true up. So I guarantee these will change somewhat, but I wouldn't expect them to change significantly. I think for the most part, the year went about as planned.
That's wonderful. And in terms of timely reporting from Attic Angels, are we?
Yep, things have been going well. So we have been in communication a lot now in the last month, just because we're trying to wrap up year end. So I'm kind of throwing things to him saying, hey, these are entries we typically make, so you may want to make these. And he's kicking back things to me and finding things he's noticing. So we're keeping our records in sync and should have it wrapped up here in another week or two.
Wonderful. Any questions of Carol? Or on the report? That's good news. Would you like a motion or is this just an update?
No, just an update.
Okay. And then public housing financial update.
We really don't have a lot going on in the public housing. Well, that's actually not public housing. Technically, this would be public housing still. Something of note, I guess, on the liabilities page, there was a line due to the CDA redevelopment. That was money that we borrowed from redevelopment to cover costs for relief. That was mostly the $25,000 payment to for I'm sorry, for
Consulting.
consulting, that's the word I was trying to find. Other than that, just pretty much the normal costs. Couple of unit turnaround contracts started hitting the books in December. Something that wasn't on the sheet is something that I brought up last meeting, was that we hadn't received our payment from WIDA to cover the balance of the rents. We did finally get payment, which was actually late in February too. Alex had to reach out again. But they made us whole for January and February. So hopefully the bugs are worked out of that and we'll be getting paid on time moving forward.
No removal. should be there.
You should save some money there.
All right. Any questions on that report? Okay. Can we go down and, can we see the bottom of the report? Can you go down? Yeah, there we go. So for the year, is this end of the year figures?
They are, but they are not final.
Nope. I got
This
it.
is what we know as of today.
And is this telling us that we had a loss of 52,000?
If you just go up.
So it's actually,
Title, yeah.
yep, so these two columns here are the, we actually budgeted a loss of 96,000 and we incurred a loss of 99,000. So it'll be really, really a joy for staff and all of us to not have to budget $100,000 loss going forward now that we're in a different financial situation and no longer in that program.
So we budgeted 96, but did we just have a $56,000 loss? Is that what you're saying?
No,
Have the 96,000?
we year to date was roughly 99,000 and we budgeted a $96,000 loss. And I will say that that's probably better than it looks because we also didn't receive capital funds this year with transitioning out of the program in whenever that was. We made the decision to not take our capital fund subsidy in August, I think it was. And at the time, we had thought that we'd be closing out in October and then would have additional revenue coming in those last couple months. So that loss of 99,000, this 56, so the 51, that column is the
The
month
month of
ended,
December.
right?
Oh, it's helpful to be able to see the headings.
Yeah, it is.
Yep.
I'm like guessing.
Yeah, no, sorry.
Okay.
Does that make more sense?
Yeah, it does. That's helpful. Thank you.
You got a question here?
I'm sorry.
So
I was trying to read.
that's okay. It was just, I was making funny hand motions. So how do we, I mean, I know we budgeted for that. How is that covered? How do we deal with that? How does that, I mean, obviously the money had to come from somewhere.
Right. So typically we've had a capital subsidy in the past. And those funds, they do it it was a 5-year capital plan. And then you get an allocation of capital subsidy year over year. And that in the past, what we've done is use that to cover shortfalls too. And so we didn't get that at all this year. So that shortfall or that total loss there is actually, it would have been less if we had kept our cap.
So how did we pay that is what I'm trying to say.
You up to the balance sheet?
Sure.
I'm sure there were funds on hand.
I mean, obviously we paid it. It's just how did we pay?
That's what I'm saying. So some of that was rolled over from the last, whatever the span of this 5 years.
So we had money in,
Correct.
okay, that's what I was trying to get to. Thank you.
Yeah, as Jay was explaining, we ran into a little bit of a cash flow issue right at the end of the year. So redevelopment loaned us some money just to make sure we could pay our bills. But for the most part, you do still have some equity there. It's not as though there was no money at all. We had something to start with. And now that we're going to be making better revenue, catch it back up.
Got it. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Mhm.
Any other questions? Okay. All right, then let's go on to the update on housing units. Okay.
Right now, Jefferson Square has one unit available. If anyone wants to take a guess at which one that is. 720 DeForest Street is still not sold. 714, however, is, they moved in the 1st of February. Turns out they're really happy, I guess, and looking forward to meeting some people. Demery's taking it quite personally about not being able to get anybody into 720. She said that she's had people from the waiting list that are really interested. They're coming out for their second and third time and just can't get over the barn. Some of them are not ready, I guess, also. But yeah, she's not very happy about it either. So she's looking forward to trying to get this thing done.
Do we have any former farmers on the waiting list?
They would feel comfortable with the barn in their back door.
Yes.
I think we've talked about this in the past, and I think we may have said, no, it's not a real possibility. But I'm going to revisit it because I don't trust my memory right now. Is there any possibility, I mean, of getting some kind of or is that area just too?
It's really so close. I was over there measuring countertop square footage actually this week, and I mean it looks nice. They've got it completed. It really does look nice. They did a great job, but it is literally like right there. And anything that we would put on our property to hide that is going to make it even closer. You know, they're just going to just limit that space even more.
Yeah, can you show that on the map on here? So that's the barn
I believe so.
and that's the unit right there. Okay.
Correct.
So then, I mean, it's not like the barn wasn't there before.
Well, the resident that was in there, I think he was an original, actually. He was in there a long time. Yeah, Jerry Bowen.
Oh, okay.
One of the things I've thought about is, because of the barn, is it worth lowering the price on that unit? I mean, it might be better to get it sold, get someone in there.
I don't remember the number. I know that they did put a reduction on it. I think it was like $9,000, I believe, something along that. Don't hold me to that, please, but.
Keith?
That's not really enough. I mean, 9,000. I mean, if you're looking, you've had this unit open for over a year.
That's what I was going to say. As long as it's been vacant, we're
Right.
losing money. So
Yeah, exactly.
my feeling is ask the people who've come to look at it 2 or 3 times, what would we have to lower it to get you to take it?
Well, not only that, I mean, could we I mean, there's already some trees in that area, or at least according to this, there is. Were those taken out?
No.
Is there a way that maybe we could put some kind of, not a fence, but have a landscaper come in and put some kind of foliage there to help block that? It would help, and that way, it's not like you're putting them into a enclosed space. It's more just a pretty thing. Hopefully that made sense.
One of the things that's interesting to me is that there's another unit it's very close to the barn, that,
They both love living there, have no problems with the barn. They like the privacy that it affords them.
who's in that unit? Is that
Regsteds.
Rakested's? I thought that
Oh,
was
sure.
Steve and Tony. Okay. So, yeah,
So the other challenge is there's some, I don't even know if you'd call those like retaining boulders or what, but the grade is different here too. Landscaping, I mean, yeah, I completely hear what you're saying, and maybe it's an option, but there's definitely some other challenges back there as well.
well, whose retaining boulders are they?
They're on our property. Yep, that's true.
Is that going to make anybody actually want to buy it? Is it really the landscaping there, or is it the fact that you have that barn so close? I mean, you just got to ask the people who are interested and
agree.
find
I
out
mean,
what can we do to help?
I think that
You know?
Carol's absolutely right. If it was me, I would be calling the people that were on the list that were interested and came back multiple times and ask what it would take. And, you know, I don't know how much money we lost this year, but another 6 months and, you know,
Significant.
that's huge.
Oh, 540 a month times a year is six grand plus utilities.
Plus utilities.
So 8 grand.
One of the things I just wanted to mention, I know you talked about those boulders in the back with the landscaping and things like that, but
Yeah.
things considered is they may not be able to be just pulled out. It might be a grading issue, grading requirement, back there, just depending on, you know, whether there's a drop off or things like that. So just keep that in mind when you're trying to.
Well, I wouldn't do anything anywhere until we find out from the people who are interested and get them to give a price. I mean, it's a nice looking unit. I like the barn. But I don't live there, so.
And it really might be different for everybody. Some people, it might be a price thing. Some people might be able to, you know, if you did something landscaping wise, that might work, so. And I can't speak to what Demery has or hasn't talked to, prospective clients about in that regard either.
Well, one of you,
I'll reach out to her.
Well, so yeah, we can definitely do that, but I just want to also take this opportunity for other things that may come up in the future similar to this. Is this the type of thing where you as a board would want Attic Angel to come in on to talk about? Or do you prefer to have this conversation here the way we're doing it and then have staff then have that discussion?
I think it's a staff thing to do. I mean, I'm always glad to have Attic Angels or have Demery come and talk to us, but I think bringing us this issue, us suggesting that, we're not even saying how much we would need to reduce it, but when I begin to think about, you know, another empty year, and not having the cash in the coffer, I would be willing, I don't know about you and Doug and others, but I would be willing to reduce it quite significantly to get someone in there.
As long as word doesn't get around.
Well, yeah, that's a problem. over
Yeah.
there.
And
Well, right, exactly. That's what I'm saying is,
Well, it's a special.
you tell them
We've
why you're doing it.
Yeah, there's certainly a
Right.
very obvious reason for why this unit just isn't as valuable as the others.
And typically in real estate transactions, I'll just pull out my broker history here. When you have a property that doesn't sell, I would not advise going to the buyer and saying, what would it take? Because then your gap gets very, very large. When you start to reduce or you're making something that you want to actually get moving on the market, you usually drop it by $5,000 or $10,000 increments over time. And so you would drop, you know, maybe the first one, 5,000. If that doesn't do anything, then do another 5,000. But you could do that in a quick, rapid pace, you know, to accelerate it through. Still get closer to our number than whatever their lowball number would be.
But we've already dropped it 9.
I like I said, that's the number that sticks in my head. Please don't hold me to that exact figure. I'm not exactly
So-
sure what it was.
And I'm not sure if it's the price that's getting them or if there's something else we could do. So I think having a conversation is valuable, but I agree with you. I think that's true. Doug?
Could we include a couple of chickens since the barn's already there with the price of eggs?
So long as it's not a rooster.
2 chickens and a goat.
You're such a party.
I only raise that. My husband's doing real estate transactions in Africa right now. And they had to give a couple of goats and a pig, yeah. So, all right. Well,
Then as far as, was no longer public housing, we have 2 units open still in there. We just heard back from the lawyer, Alex, or I guess we both heard back from the lawyer today. I have not read that email. But we should be able to start moving forward with getting those rented soon. Few little things to finish up, but hopefully we can get somebody in there soon and start using those places.
why is there legal involved?
So with the transition, as you all know, we approved the tenant selection policy and the new leases. So those were good. We also latently figured out that we should probably also update our application since the old application was had references to public housing. And then we also had the attorney review some house rules that we put in place as well.
Okay,
And actually out of that, we may have a revision to the tenant selection policy that we'll probably bring back to the March meeting. Just dealing with eligibility from an age standpoint.
okay. I'm advocating for everyone over 70 right now, so. All right. Anything else on housing division? Then redevelopment.
The only thing that I'll mention for redevelopment is we've incurred some costs associated with the new project, especially as we kind of negotiate some of these different agreements. And because the 2024 budget didn't really anticipate some of these costs coming in, those got coded to contracted services. In 2025, we've created these new accounts here, so you see most of that activity reflected into redevelopment costs.
Okay, are there questions on that financial report? I like this one because you can see the headings and the lines all at the same time. Okay. All right, well, I think we're moving along then. Prudential investment statement.
We do have a statement in there. I do believe it ticked down a little bit. Carol and I have also been continually fighting a battle with the advisors to try to get access to these statements online. It hasn't been set up yet, so we're still working on that. That's why this, I think, is still December statement. Maybe, yeah, December statement, so.
Do you know what the current is?
Should have went up.
I don't off the top of my head, but I don't think it went up.
It wouldn't have moved a whole lot.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and see. He sent it over. Do you have it on your phone there?
Okay.
I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay. Are there questions on the numbers that are in front of us? Okay. Then let's keep moving on. Carol finds it, we can. Okay. I don't have any special communications. Item 11, convene into closed session. The Community Development Authority Board will convene into closed session pursuant to section 19.851E of the Wisconsin statutes for purposes of deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. negotiating an option to purchase with Gardner Millis Investments LLC and considering a letter of intent from Gardner Millis Investments LLC. So with that, I would entertain a motion to convene into closed.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Briggs,
Yes.
Commissioner Wurzbach,
Yes.
Commissioner Witherspoon.
Aye.
Commissioner Buheim,
Yes.
Commissioner Mankey,
Here.
Chairperson Cahill Wolfgram.
Yes. Husband's traveling, so I turned the fireplace on at night and I fell asleep the other night and I woke up and the house was 85. Okay. Can she hear us?
Sheila, are you able to hear us?
Sheila?
Yeah, I don't think she's brought back in.
Can somebody text message her?
Like
We
time
lost
travel.
Sheila.
She got caught in time travel.
She's in the in-between.
Well,
Yeah.
all we have to do is come back in and adjourn the meeting, so.
Oh,
I just couldn't figure out what.
do you? Rachel, do you want me to join that you just did?
No, we're just
Okay.
trying to see if we could open it and close it to see if Sheila could
Oh,
pop in, so.
She's lost.
Sheila's gone, I'm sorry.
Right here.
They claim we're gonna have a desk by April, but you know, I think Carol put
Is that
the,
26 or 27?
yeah. I think that we're gonna trip over here one of
Yeah.
these nights. It's bad.
Jane, it looks like, we lost Sheila. She was disconnected from the meeting, so you still have quorum, so you are able to move on with the.
Thank
rest of
you.
The agenda.
All right. We're back into open session. If there's no other business to come before this body, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Just one thing, not business, but other than to say, I really appreciated the thing the other night, the neighborhood meeting. I thought that went really well. The comments I was hearing from folks was very positive. So, good job.
Yeah, thank you for attending. That was good.
All right. Now I'd entertain a motion to approve or to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
well, second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We're adjourned at 7:13 PM. Thank you, everyone.